When we talk about acting as if you are the best, we are not discussing arrogance, exaggeration, or empty confidence. We are talking about the deepest truth of human psychology. You become the identity you consistently assume. Every transformation begins in the mind long before it becomes visible in TBR world. Before a person changes their behavior, they must change the internal story that shapes that behavior. And it is astonishing how many people live their entire lives imprisoned by identities they never consciously chose, identities shaped by fear, comparison, or old narratives that no longer serve them. But the moment you choose to step into a higher identity, the moment you decide to carry yourself as someone exceptional, something fundamental shifts inside you. You start making decisions that align with who you intend to become, not who you used to be. People often underestimate this principle because they confuse it with pretending. But there is nothing pretentious about stepping into the version of yourself that you know you were meant to embody. When you act as if you are the best, you are not lying to yourself, you are allowing yourself to rise to the level of your potential. You begin the internal work of aligning your thoughts, your posture, your tone, and your expectations with that elevated identity. And the mind, being a faithful servant, will begin searching for evidence to confirm this identity. It will help you act bolder, think sharper, and move with a level of certainty that ordinary people never experience. What most people don't realize is that the world does not reward talent alone. It rewards the individual who believes in their talent. It rewards the person who shows up with confidence, who carries themselves with certainty, and who communicates with clarity. In every room, there are people more skilled than you. In every industry, there are people with more experience. But the advantage goes to the person who acts as if they belong at the top. If you do not claim that space within yourself, you will never claim it in the world. People respond TBRO energy, to presence, to conviction. They subconsciously trust the individual who appears to trust themselves. This is why so many brilliant individuals go unnoticed, because they never grant themselves permission to step into their own greatness. They wait for validation, they wait for recognition, they wait for someone else to confirm that they are worthy. But acting as if you are the best eliminates the need for permission. It positions you as the authority of your own life. You no longer outsource your worth to external opinions. You no longer hesitate out of fear of judgment. You stop asking, am I good enough, and start declaring, I am built for this. This shift in identity changes everything about the way you move. You become more intentional with your time because you recognize your value. You speak differently because you understand that your voice carries weight. You set H.E.B.R.G. standards because you know that excellence is not an option, it is your natural expression. Even your mistakes begin to serve you differently. Instead of seeing failure as proof of inadequacy, you interpret it as feedback, as information, as a stepping stone toward mastery. You grow faster, not BBR, because life becomes easier, but because you now approach it from a position of inner authority. That is the power of assuming the identity of someone who is the best. It is not a declaration of superiority over others, it is a declaration of responsibility for yourself. It is a commitment to embody your highest potential with courage, clarity, and conviction. When you walk with that mindset, your behavior aligns with your intention, and your environment begins to reshape itself around your new identity. People will sense the shift. Opportunities will respond. Doors that once seemed closed, WBR, begin to open because you are finally approaching them with the posture of someone who expects to enter. And that is the true secret behind every remarkable transformation. The world rises to meet the person who rises within themselves first. When you act as if you are the best, you force your MIBR-ND, your habits and your circumstances to catch up with the standard you have set. You become a magnet for the results that once felt distant. So carry yourself with purpose. Move with quiet certainty. Assume the identity of someone who belongs at the top, not because you recompeting with others, because you refuse to compete with your own limitations any longer. Greatness begins the moment you decide to embody it. And the question you must carry with you now is simple. What version of yourself are you choosing to act from today? And what would change if you finally chose the highest one? EBRF. There is one thing that quietly destroys a person's potential. It is the constant hunger for external validation. Most people don't realize how deeply they are controlled by the need to be approved, accepted, praised, or recognized. They move through life like emotional tenants, paying rent to the opinions of others, never owning their own sense of worth. But when we talk about acting as if you are the best, we are talking about a profound psychological shift, the move from external authority to inner authority. You stop looking outward for confirmation of who you are, and you begin to operate from an internal source of certainty that cannot be taken away from you. When an individual seeks validation, they shrink their decisions to fit someone else's comfort. They limit their dreams to avoid someone else's criticism. They hold back their voice so it doesn't threaten someone else's insecurity. But the moment you embrace inner authority, you reclaim the freedom to be bold. You give yourself permission to express your ideas without fearing rejection. You make choices based on what aligns with your vision, not what aligns with popular opinion. You stop contorting your identity to win applause. Instead, you stand firm in the truth that your worth is self-generated, not externally granted. This is a principle Napoleon Hill understood well. The mind that depends on the approval of others can never fully master itself. And if you cannot master yourself, life will remain unmastered. Bubber T. Once you detach from the need to be validated, your thoughts become sharper, your decisions become clearer, and your confidence stops fluctuating based on who praises you or who doubts you. You become steady, you become rooted, you become unshakable. Consider how much emotional energy people worrying about what others think. They hesitate before taking action, imagining criticism that hasn't even happened. They water down their potential to avoid offending someone who isn't even watching. They deny themselves opportunities because they fear the judgment of people who remember THBREM in a week. Yet every person who ever achieved greatness had to make peace with being misunderstood, doubted, and even disliked. You cannot lead while seeking permission. You cannot stand out while trying to fit in. And you certainly cannot act as the best while living in fear of how others might respond. When you step into inner authority, something powerful happens. People begin to take you seriously. Not because you were loud, not because you were trying to impress, but because there is a calm certainty in the way you carry yourself. You communicate differently. You walk with purpose. You enter rooms with a presence that says, I respect myself, and I expect the world to reflect that. This kind of authority is aggressive, magnetic. It pulls people toward you. Even those who may not like you cannot ignore you. The irony is that once you stop needing validation, you naturally begin to receive more respect. You project an energy of someone who knows where they are going, who knows what they stand for, and who is not available for unnecessary drama or emotional dependence. Your independence becomes strength. Your certainty becomes influence. Your self-respect becomes a signal that others instinctively follow. And this inner authority also gives you incredible psychological resilience. When criticism comes, and it always does, you are not shaken. You can listen without collapsing. You can adjust without losing yourself. You can rise above without becoming defensive. When PRBRAs comes, it doesn't inflate you. You appreciate it, but you don't rely on it. You stay centered, grounded, stable. You begin to operate from a deeper truth. You are enough because you decided to be enough. This is where true confidence is born, not from noise, not from performance, but from inner alignment. When you no longer need the world to validate you, the world's power over you dissolves. You become free to think boldly, act decisively, and live authentically. And this is the foundation of acting as if you are the best, not to prove something to others, but to embody something within your self. So as you continue your journey, remember this. The loudest applause will never matter as much as the quiet belief you hold in your own heart. Let that be your compass. Let that be your strength. And if you choose to reflect on anything from this message, let it be this simple truth. The moment you stop waiting for the world to approve of you is the moment you finally become unstoppable. When we speak about acting as if you are the best, there comes a moment when belief alone is not enough. Identity sets the foundation, inner authority gives you permission, but behavior is what makes YBR our self-image real in the physical world. Without action, confidence becomes fantasy. But when your actions rise to meet your identity, when your habits match the level of person you claim to be, you create a kind of inner congruence that is impossible to shake. This is where true superiority is Bobar RN, not from ego, but from execution. Every individual who has achieved anything meaningful understands that excellence is not something you stumble into. It is something you cultivate. To act as if you re the best is to hold yourself to a standard that most people will never consider. It means showy boring up when you don't feel like it. It means doing the work with precision instead of cutting corners. It means choosing discipline over comfort, clarity over confusion, and consistency over excuses. These decisions accumulate, and with time, they form the behavioral blueprint of a superior performer. People often think that confidence precedes action, but in reality, action often creates confidence. When you behave like someone capable, when you work like someone destined for the top, you begin to trust yourself. You build evidence that you are not just imagining potential, you are living it. EBBR every task completed with excellence strengthens your identity. Every challenge met with discipline sharpens your self-respect, and every commitment you honor reinforces the truth that you are someone who can rely on yourself. That reliability becomes an internal force, a kind of psychological gravity that holds your life together even when external circumstances shift. But excellence requires honesty, especially with yourself. It requires asking, what would the best version of me do right now? And then having the courage to act on the answer. This is where many people falter. They want the Resper ults of greatness, but they cling to the habits of mediocrity. Acting as if you are the best means eliminating the behaviors that contradict your identity: procrastination, laziness, indecision, and self-sabotage. It means rejecting the temptation of shortcuts. It means doing things with intention, not out of habit. When you operate with behavioral superiority, people feel it. They notice the precision in your work, the clarity in your communication, the discipline in your routines. You don't need to announce your standards, they radiate through everything you do. And because E-energy is contagio over us, others begin to adjust themselves to your level. Some will admire you, some will feel challenged by you, some will try to keep up with you, but all of them will recognize that you are not operating at the common level. You elevate the room simply by being in it. And the beauty of living this Waber Y is that excellence becomes your normal. It becomes your default setting. What once required effort becomes a habit, and what once felt extraordinary becomes natural. You no longer have to force yourself to act like the best. You simply are the best because your behavior has shaped you into the Persber on your identity envisioned. This is where Napoleon Hill's philosophy becomes profoundly practical. Thought is the seed, belief is the soil, but action is the sunlight that makes everything grow. Without action, nothing takes root. Without standards, nothing evolves. Without discipline, nothing becomes real. So as you move forward, recognize that greatness is not declared, it is demonstrated. It is proven in the details, in the consistency, in the silent hours when no one is watching. It is forged through the daily decision to act in alignment with who you claim to be. And if you want to stand among those who rise, you must do the things that rising requires. Carry this with you. Your behavior is the loudest statement you will ever make about who you are. Let it speak with strength, precision, and purpose, and let the world adjust to the standard you set. There is a subtle but powerful truth about life that most people overlook. The world does not respond to who you are. It responds to who you present yourself to be. Your psychological posture, the way you carry yourself, the energy you walk into a room with, the expectation you hold in your mind, these things shape your experiences far more than talent alone ever will. Acting as if you are the best is not merely a mental exercise, it is a physical expression, an energetic presence, a way of showing up that communicates something unmistakable to everyone around you. Most individuals move through life with a posture shaped by Dauber tea. Their shoulders reflect hesitation. Their voice reflects insecurity. Their presence reflects a lifetime of internal questioning. They do not realize that people pick up on these subtle signals instantly. Humans are wired to read posture, tone, micro-expressions, and presence long before they proper as words. So when you carry yourself as if you are uncertain about your value, the world believes you. When you carry yourself as if you have something to prove, the world waits for that proof. But when you carry yourself as if you are the best, calm, grounded, assured, the world starts treating you accordingly. This is not arrogance, it is alignment between your inner state and your outer expression. When your identity is strong and your behavior is disciplined, your presence naturally becomes authoritative. You walk differently. You speak differently. You engage with people from a place of kubiari confidence rather than anxious anticipation. Your eye contact strengthens. Your voice deepens with conviction. Your decisions become clearer because you're not trying to avoid mistakes, you're trying to fulfill your purpose. Psychological posture is not about pretending to be invincible. It is ABR out, refusing to abandon your power. It means showing up with a belief that your presence matters, your perspective matters, and your potential is real. People respond to individuals who appear certain, not because certainty guarantees accuracy, but because certainty reflects strength, and strength, IBRS magnetic. Napoleon Hill often spoke about the power of intense purpose, a kind of inner clarity that radiates outward and influences circumstance. That intensity shapes how life responds to you. When you expect opportunities, you notice them. When you expect respect, you command it. When you expect CT success, you move in ways that align with it. Your expectation becomes a silent instruction to the world, and the world, in its mysterious way, adjusts to match it. But this posture must come from truth, not from theatrics. It must be earned through the identity you have claimed and the discipline you have demonstrated. When you have built internal authority and practiced behavioral excellence, your posture becomes real stable, quiet, unforced. You don't need to convince anyone your presence does the work. This is why the greatest leaders are often the most composed. They don't rush. They don't panic. They carry a stillness that comes from knowing they are equal to the challenges ahead. And people gravitate toward those who walk with such inner steadiness. Even in moments of uncertainty, your posture can elevate you. Standing tall when life feels heavy doesn't make you dishonest, it makes you resilient. Speaking with clarity when your mind is racing doesn't make you fake, it makes you focused. Holding your ground when others doubt you doesn't make you stubborn, it makes you self-possessed. Psychological posture is the bridge between who you were and who you intend to become. GBR more consistently. You show up with this posture, the more life begins to shift around you. People treat you differently. Opportunities open faster. Conversations go deeper. Doors that once felt locked begin to budge. It's not magic, it's alignment. When your presence reflects strength, you naturally attract the experiences that require strength. When your posture reflects leadership, you naturally attract opportunities that need a leader. Life adjusts to the version of you that you present. So as you continue building the identity of someone who is the best, let your posture be the outward expression of your inner transformation. Walk with intention, speak with conviction. Enter every room as someone who belongs there, not because you're trying to prove anything, but because you finally understand your own worth. Carry this thought forward when you elevate. Your inner posture, the world rises to meet you. So stand tall, speak boldly, and let your presence declare the greatness you've claimed within yourself. If there is one force that quietly manipulates people into living far below their potential, it is fear. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of looking foolish, fear of SBR stepping outside the familiar. And yet, every person who has ever risen to greatness had to confront the same invisible barrier. Acting as if you are the best is not a rejection of fear. It is the decision to walk forward, even as fear whispers its doubts in the background. It is courage expressed not through loud declarations, but through consistent movement toward your vision, despite the trembling inside you. Most people believe that those who excel are fearless, but that belief is false. The strongest individuals are not the ones who feel no fear, they are the ones who refuse to bow to it. Neighbor, why understand that fear is not a signal to stop it, is a signal that they are stepping into new territory, and new territory is always uncomfortable. But discomfort is the birthplace of growth. No one becomes exceptional while staying wrapped in the warm blanket of certainty. You rise by stepping into the unknown, by challenging your limitations, by daring to believe you can do something you've never done before. When you act as if you are the best, you confront fear differently. Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" you ask, "What if I never try?" Instead of shrinking to avoid criticism, you expand to meet possibility. Instead of hiding your gifts, you bring them forward with intention. Fear loses its grip the moment you stop negotiating with it. That is the shift when you stop giving fear a seat at the decision-making table. You acknowledge its presence, but you do not let it lead. And it is important to recognize that fear often disguises itself as humility. People will say, "I don't want to act too confident," when in truth they are afraid of being seen. They fear taking up space. They fear disappointing others. They fear revealing their ambition. But shrinking yourself does no serve anyone. Playing small does not protect you. It suffocates you. It keeps you living in a version of yourself that is comfortable but unfulfilled. And deep down, you know it. Napoleon Hill wrote about the 6 ghosts of fear, those psychological forces that imprison the mind. What he understood is that fear thrives in silence. It grows when you avoid it. But when you act boldly, you weaken it. Courage is not an emotion, it is a practice. Every courageous act, no matter how small, trains the mind to trust itself. And the more you trust yourself, the less power fear holds over you. Think about how different your life would look if you stopped waiting for the moment you felt ready. The truth is, readiness is a myth. No one feels ready at the beginning of anything meaningful. People only become ready by doing the thing they feared. Confidence is earned through not contemplation bar. And so, to act as if you are the best is to step into roles, challenges, and opportunities before you feel perfectly prepared. It is to understand that movement creates clarity, and hesitation creates doubt. When you claim space in the world, fear will try to pull you back. It will remind you of very past failure. It will amplify every insecurity. But those insecurities only have power when you stand still. The moment you step forward, speak, act, try, you weaken the chains that fear has wrapped around you. You begin to rewrite your internal narrative. You begin to understand that you are far more capable than you ever realized. And something extraordinary happens when you repeatedly choose courage over comfort. Fear begins to respect you. It no longer storms your mind with the same force. It knows you want to be controlled. You develop a subtle but unshakable mental posture, the posture of someone who refuses to be intimidated by possibility. So let this be a reminder: greatness is not reserved for the fearless. It is reserved for those who feel fear, acknowledge it, and walk forward anyway. The world belongs to those who dare, not to those who hesitate. Carry this with you as you move forward. Your life will expand in direct proportion to the courage you practice. Step boldly into the unknown and let your actions declare that fear will never decide the size of your destiny.